Hi, everybody. I am Holly Celiano. Today is Friday, April 18th. I can't believe how fast this month is going. I know I say that every week. I want to get right into the news that's come out this week. And just my job that I'd like to do is to put the puzzle pieces together because there are so many puzzle pieces to this. This year, really, since Trump took office, we've been able to insert the puzzle pieces that we'd see scattered over here and scattered over there and didn't quite understand how everything fit in. But now we're able to see how all these individual pieces are now completing the puzzle. And for those of you that complain that all I do is just read articles, well, there are things that I know that I will never say and can't say. And that's why you have learned in this to keep your mouth shut and keep your contacts. What I like to do is read what's out there in case you missed it, in case you didn't understand it, and see how it fits into the overarching puzzle that we are putting together. Because what's being done in the world is showing us how we are getting to the end result, which is the revaluation of currencies. So, with that, let me go and share my screen and pull this up for you. Okay, so let's go down here. Okay, I want to read this. So, this is SDRs, which are special drawing rates, just showed up on Iraq's central bank website. This is not random. That's not global alignment. What are SDRs? Well, they are special drawing rights. They aren't currency. They are IMF issued reserve assets backed by a basket of major currencies: USD, EUR, CNY, JPY, and GBP. They're used to stabilize nations. It's all about stability and security, settle balance of payments, and manage transitions between currency regimes. Iraq's listing the SDR rate equals a signal. They're aligning with IMF infrastructure. They're preparing for more than Forex normalization. They're signaling a role in the reset, not just a dollar vassal, but as sovereign participant in a new value system. This is about more than oil. It's about asset-backed liquidity, gold pricing, and digital rails. Well, we know the digital rails are the XRP and Ripple. You don't list SDRs unless you're playing at the global table. SDRs have always been on the CBI site. Cool, so has gold, so have banks, so has the IQD. The real question is, why now? Why all at once? SDRs are suddenly grouped with gold and dollar pairs. Economists are openly talking revaluation. The budget math doesn't add up without a rate shift. The ISO 20022 goes live in July for FedWire. Now, don't panic hearing July. This can happen anytime. Iraq is updating SDR reference rates in sync with FX bulletins. This isn't about the presence of SDR, it's about the timing, the context, and conversion. It's not the ingredients, it's the recipe that's finally cooking. And this is from 589 Bull. The other thing I want to pull up, if you guys didn't see this, it's become extremely clear to me that most people still don't understand what we're up against and the steps Trump and his team have to take. I'm going to break it down, but before I do, I want to make it clear that this post is not about Q or the plan. The first and most important steps for Trump's team is to clean house. Well, you cannot go and bring in new money and change the entire financial system if your house is not clean. That doesn't happen overnight. The entire system is corrupt. Cleaning it up is not a small task. No, because every single thing is connected to being corrupt. Financial systems, banking, governments, corporations, pharmaceuticals, everything is corrupt. Let's use the FBI as an example. For 8 years, the FBI has been targeting Trump, Anons, and MAGA. The FBI ran a coup against Trump, set up patriots on J6, went after churches and parents that spoke up at school board meetings. The FBI labeled patriots as a domestic terrorist and wrote a report about Anons, saying the misinformation we spread can cause violence, and blamed us for mass shootings. That's the part of the House Kash Patel has to clean up. We are supposed to demand justice, but expecting it right away is not realistic. Instant justice means they will get out in a couple of days and drag their cases out for years. The slow, painful process will close all loopholes, remove corrupt judges, and lower the risk of error. They won't be able to escape. Now let's change lanes and talk about what's happening while Trump's team is cleaning house. Doge isn't just cutting off money, they're exposing the money laundering and payouts, not just to wake me up, but to lay the evidence. Public opinion is very important when it comes to arrests. We don't want a civil war, even though some of them are paid. There are also a lot of them that are just deep asleep. They know not what they do. Deportations aren't about removing illegals. That's why gangsters are the main target. The threats that the deep state brought in are being removed. And I believe those people were brought into America to go to war with patriots. The deep state wants a civil war to pop off, and their numbers just got cut way down. Drug and human trafficking are also cut way down. That also cuts their money. The tariffs are one of the most important things happening because it's setting the stage to end the income tax. That breaks the chains. We've all been debt slaves our entire lives, forced to pay a voluntary income tax. I believe income tax is going to end, but tariffs have to be in place first so our country doesn't collapse. If there was no income tax, the people wouldn't be the government's collateral for the world's banks. It's important to see the big picture. Always look things, always look at things from a 40,000-foot view. Trump and his team are unweaving a worldwide web while simultaneously putting together the largest RICO case the world has ever seen. It's not just considered 5D chess because of the moves being made, but also because of the size of the game board. We have to consider the magnitude of the task when we're talking about dropping the hammer. Arrests are coming, not just when you want them. I know I've said that a lot over the years, but I never said when. I still don't know when, but it's starting to unfold. We're at the beginning of the end. Nothing can stop what's coming. So I know there are a lot of people when they hear Trump and Anons and Magna, it makes their head spin. This is not about Trump. This is not Trump's movement. Trump is the front and center stage of a military operation that has been running behind the scenes, and Trump is the man to step out there to make it happen. But it's the military operation that is being done behind the scenes, and he is really just taking orders with what needs to happen. The other thing I want to pull up is the day the money printer was silently nationalized. Most people missed it. But in March 2020, while the world was distracted by lockdowns and stimulus checks, the US quietly made one of the most radical economic moves in modern history. The Federal Reserve was absorbed by the US Treasury. You got that right. March 2020, the Federal Reserve was absorbed by the US Treasury. Let that sink in. The private central bank that had dictated US monetary policy for over a century was effectively put under the control of the executive branch. Here is how they did it. The Treasury, under Mnuchin, created special purpose vehicles, SPVs. These SPVs were used to buy corporate debt, inject liquidity, and stabilize markets. That's why we haven't seen a market crash all these years, because of what they've been doing behind the scenes. But the kicker, the Fed couldn't operate those vehicles without Treasury funding and approval. Translation, the Fed could no longer act independently. It was a quiet nationalization of the money printer. Why this matters now? Monetary policy is now political strategy. This move gave the sitting president and the Treasury leverage over the financial system, including interest rate dynamics, corporate bailout structures, global liquidity flows. It set the stage for a financial reset. With control of the Fed, the US could wind down the debt based fiat system, replace it with asset backed digital rails, which is XRP and Ripple, or even deploy strategic digital assets like XRP under sovereign authority. It redefined economic warfare. The US has now a new weapon. The Fed controlled Treasury with digital liquidity tools, programmable assets, and global reach. This just wasn't a bailout, it was a power shift from central bankers to state level operators preparing for something bigger. It explains why the XRP case dragged out, why digital infrastructure ISO 20022, RLUSD, tokenized treasuries ramped up, and why gold, cryptos, and debt markets have entered a new phase. You weren't supposed to notice, but now that you have, everything that comes next makes a lot more sense. And I want to read this thing that ties in with this. So they made the Federal Reserve insolvent. In Trump's first term, he soon appointed 3 federal governors and then 2 more during his administration. This gave Trump control over the Federal Reserve. They began making loans that out them 140 billion in debt. And all the things in this post are true. So I'm going to stop sharing and then you just get me again. Okay, so these are things. This is why XRP was slow walked and the lawsuit dragged on because all these other things were not in place. The rails weren't in place. Things were not ready for this. So everything is being put in place. The last and final piece of this is the revaluation of currencies, which we're all waiting for. So the tariffs and Doge getting all this money is the distraction to all those not paying attention where this influx of money is coming from. It's going to be coming from all of these revaluations of currencies because the US holds a lot of these. And there's going to be such an influx coming. Now, a couple things I want to mention. There's a lot of people that are saying, it's happened, the RV's happened. Tier 3, Tier 4B, all of them have gone. I can tell you this. They are not. They have not. So please stop listening to the rhetoric out there that this has gone and happened, because it has not. I will let you know when it does happen. You will know when it does happen, but it has not. So, everybody that's still listening to this, of everybody calling it and all these new videos popping up that it's happened, it has not. We don't know exactly when it will. We can follow what's going on in the world. We can see everything being put in place to make this happen. And when the release does happen, we will all know about it. That's those of us that are involved in this. Again, I want to caution everybody on all these scammers out there. There are going to be more and more scammers. There is a room on Telegram. It's called Holly Celiano 2. It has my picture. It's got 385 people. It's not me. So whoever's putting that stuff out, please, please, please just leave that room. It's not me. It is a scammer. And please report them. Don't sign up for anything that says anything about QFS, that you need to sign up for QFS, or that you need to pay and sign up for a med bed. Those things will happen at your appointment. So we continue reading what's going on in the world. We continue seeing the progress. How much longer? I don't know. Nobody knows that. Nobody will ever know. But we can see where things are happening in the world and how it's all coming together, the bigger picture. It will happen. It's just a matter of time when it will. So, with that, have a wonderful Easter holiday, everybody. Be well, and I will come back next Friday, unless, of course, something pops up that you need to hear from me sooner. Take care, everybody. Bye.